Admin 365 and welcome to today's video. Wishing everyone celebrating a very happy Navratri season. In today's video, I'm going to share with you a few of my favorite Vrat related meals. Typically on a Vrat day, we eat sabudana khichdi, potato bhaji, sweet potato hash or something on those lines. But when the Vrat goes on for more than a couple of days, then eating the same potatoes, the same sabudana khichdi, day in and day out becomes very boring. But when the same ingredients, that is potatoes, sabudana or sweet potatoes, are presented in a different form and in a different style, then the meals become more interesting and fun. Internet is full of such beautiful, delicious meals. And today I'm going to share with you a few of my favorite Vrat related meals. So stick around and watch what I'm going to share. First on the list is sweet version of Upwas Kachori or stuffed potato balls that I'm going to make in as less ghee as possible. To prepare the outer shelf, I have 1 cup sabudana or tapioca pearls, 5 to 6 boiled and peeled medium-sized potatoes, 2 to 3 tablespoons of ghee for cooking, 1/4 cup roasted and ground peanuts, 6 to 7 finely chopped green chilies, 2 teaspoons freshly grated ginger, 2 tablespoons of chopped cilantro and 1 teaspoon of rock salt or senda namak as per taste. For stuffing, I have 1/4 cup of coconut flour. You can use desiccated coconut as well, but then you would need 1/3 in that case. 1/4 cup of coarsely chopped cashews, 2 tablespoons of golden raisins, half a tablespoon of sugar, and a couple of pinches of cardamom. To prepare, place a wide pan on medium-low heat and dry roast sabudana for 2 to 3 minutes. Dry roasting sabudana is an optional step and you can skip it and directly grind it in the mixie. However, doing this step eases the grinding of sabudana. Within 2 to 3 minutes, you will see a very slight change in color of sabudana pearls and a characteristic starchy aroma. That's when you know that roasting is done. Turn off the heat, transfer it to a plate, spread the pearls around the plate and let them cool. While it is cooling, grate boiled potatoes and have them ready to go. When sabudana pearls have cooled down completely, grind them to form a powder. This powder does not need to be super fine. Slightly coarse is good enough. You will need anywhere between half a cup to 1 cup of this sabudana flour. Next, combine all the stuffing ingredients and have them ready to go. To a medium-sized mixing bowl or to the pan used for roasting sabudana, add grated potatoes, finely chopped green chilies, grated ginger, chopped cilantro, rock salt, and roasted and crushed peanuts. Mix these ingredients, then sprinkle in sabudana or tapioca flour over this mixture and combine all the ingredients well. Tapioca flour acts as a binder and keeps all the ingredients together by absorbing moisture from this potato mixture. If the mixture is still sticky, then add sabudana flour in 1 tablespoon increments until you get a relatively non-sticky mixture. Now it's time to make kachori shells. Pull out a small portion of this mixture and press it in the fingers to form a ball. Grease your fingers and palms with ghee to keep sticking to a minimum. Slowly press around the edges of the ball to form a disc and then place this disc in your palm and press it in center to form an indent. Place half a tablespoon or so of the stuffing in this indent. Then close the disc over the stuffing by gently pulling its edges and sealing it shut. Try to get this outer cover as smooth as possible. If needed, lightly moisten your fingers with water or ghee to smoothen it over. I am going to set a production line where I am going to portion out the dough to make the balls first. I'm going to grease and re-grease my fingers with ghee as needed. Then prepare the discs from these balls. When all the discs are ready, then take each disc and add stuffing and then close in on the filling and seal it shut. When all are prepared, gently press and turn around each stuffed ball in your palms to firm it up a little bit more. Doing this is an insurance against cracking or splitting of the shells. Place appe pan to heat on medium heat and brush ghee in each of its slots. Place the stuffed potato balls or kachori in each slot of the appe pan. As and when needed, brush little bit of ghee on top of these balls. Every now and then with the aid of spoon, turn the potato balls in the slot to uniformly fry them all around. When uniformly fried all around, take them out and place them on a plate lined with paper towel. You can serve these with lightly sweetened yogurt or for a spicy take, serve it with cilantro, green chili, peanut chutney or like we do, serve it dahi vada style. Top these kachoris with lightly sweetened yogurt and cilantro peanut chutney and dig in. Next on the list are farali squares. For this, I need 1 cup of samak rice or varyache tandoor as we call them in Marathi, 4 medium potatoes pressure cooked, 3 cups of water, 3 tablespoons powdered sabudana or sabudana flour, ghee divided as 1 tablespoon plus 2 tablespoons, 1 teaspoon cumin seeds, 6 to 7 finely chopped green chilies, 1 tablespoon chopped cilantro stems, 2 teaspoons freshly grated ginger, 2 tablespoons finely chopped cilantro leaves, rock salt or senda namak according to taste, and some more ghee for greasing pan and the palms. To prepare these, first you need to soak samak rice in water for about 30 minutes. Then you need to cook this rice. For that, get water heating on one side. Then place a non-stick or a ceramic coated pan on medium heat and to it add 1 tablespoon ghee. When ghee has melted and is hot enough, add cumin seeds and let them sizzle. Stir them around in pan for a few seconds. Then add finely chopped green chilies, cilantro stems, ginger and mix. If you don't eat ginger or any of the spices that are mentioned here, you can skip them. Turn off the heat and only then add hot water. Do this step very carefully as adding water to oil will create a big sizzle. Then add salt for your taste. Turn on heat to medium and let water simmer, stirring the contents once. In that time, drain off excess water from samak rice and have it ready. When water starts simmering, add samak rice and give everything a good stir. Initially, it will look like a sloppy porridge, but as it starts soaking up water, it will firm up. Add chopped cilantro and mix well. Cook covered for good 3 to 4 minutes. Uncover and stir to see how far the samak rice has cooked. It's still on the sloppy side and needs to be cooked for another 3 to 4 minutes. Uncover and stir to check once more. It's cooking well, but it's still on the softer side and needs to be cooked some more. We are looking for a super soft texture, but not something which is sloppy. Looks like almost all of the water has been soaked up. Turn off heat and start mashing samak rice with spatula. We are mashing the rice because we want a smooth textured rice and not granular rice. Cool to room temperature. When samak rice is cool enough to handle, mix it well. You can see that it has firmed up well and is not sloppy at all. Add the remaining ingredients. Add boiled and grated potatoes. Then sprinkle sabudana flour. Then add 1/4 teaspoon of rock salt. We have already added salt when cooking rice and that's why we are adding only very little salt, which is just meant for flavoring the potatoes. Quantity of potatoes to cook samak rice is 1:1. That is, for every cup of cooked samak rice, I am using 1 cup of grated potatoes. Mix well to get a smooth mixture. Grease all sides of the tray with ghee. Transfer potato rice mixture to this greased tray and spread out as uniformly and as smoothly as possible. Score cut marks in the spread out mixture to get square shaped pieces. Cover it with plastic wrap and refrigerate it for at least 20 to 30 minutes. I am doing this to set the mixture well and make it easier for me to cut out the pieces. Take out the tray from the refrigerator and remove the plastic wrap and cut out the pieces. Taking out the first piece is always a little bit tricky as there isn't much room for the knife to maneuver around, but once it's taken out, remaining pieces come out much quicker. Place a griddle or shallow frying pan on medium heat and brush it with ghee. Then place the squares on it and shallow fry them until golden and crispy from the bottom side. Don't overcrowd the pan like I did here. They stuck to each other's side and I had a hard time separating them. Also, I could have used my electrical griddle to cook this, but it completely skipped my mind. So if you have an electrical griddle, do use it. You will be able to cook all of these at one time and not have your pan overcrowded, which in turn will prevent these squares from sticking to each other and flipping will become much easier. Once all the squares are flipped, brush ghee along the edges and in between as well. When these squares are cooked to their desired crispiness, take them off the pan on a paper towel lined plate. Serve along with hot cilantro chili chutney. Enjoy them while they are still warm and crispy. And last on this list is dry dates kheer or kharik kheer. Ingredients are 2 tablespoons finely powdered kharik or dry dates. This is readily available in US Indian stores. 1 tablespoon crushed jaggery, 1 tablespoon coarsely chopped cashew, 1/4 teaspoon cardamom powder, a pinch of grated nutmeg, a few strands of saffron, 2 tablespoons ghee, 1.5 to 2 cups of full fat milk at room temperature. To prepare, place a ceramic coated pan on low medium heat. To it add ghee and gently roast cashew pieces. It doesn't take long for cashew pieces to go from pale to golden brown, so keep your eye on them. When cashews are lightly golden, turn heat to its lowest setting. When ghee has cooled down little, add kharik powder and roast it gently for a minute or two. Make sure the heat is low to prevent kharik powder from burning. When you see kharik powder swelling and getting sticky, then you add room temperature milk in 3 parts. Adding milk in parts is preferred to avoid kharik powder from clumping. Add 1 part of milk, stir it well with the pan contents, then add another part, mix well, then add the last part and give everything a good stir. Increase heat to medium or medium high and bring milk to boil, all the while constantly stirring the mixture. When milk starts boiling, lower heat to medium low, add jaggery and mix well. Let it simmer for 3 to 4 minutes. Turn off the heat and move pan away from heat. Let cool for 5 to 10 minutes. Then add powdered cardamom and nutmeg and stir well. Transfer warm kheer to a serving bowl. Garnish it with slivered almonds and golden raisins. Serve warm. I hope you're enjoying this Navratri season. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you like this video, do give it a big thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already done so. And have a happy and a blessed Navratri season.